Hello chess friends and welcome to Yazara of Chess channel and welcome back to our Queen's Gambit Decline series. So in this series we're covering this very nice opening from white's and from black perspective, and today we're continuing with our Queen's Gambit Decline series and the so-called Harrwitz Attack. So the Harrwitz Attack we have analyzed in our two previous videos with some great games played by Sergei Karyakin, first with the white pieces and then also with a great game played by Hikaru Nakamura with the black pieces. Today we're analyzing a different line of the Harrwitz Attack with a great game played by Levin Aronian against Inarkiev. I think this game is very instructive because you face here many tactical possibilities for both sides, and you face, I think, many tactical traps that black is setting up in an early stage of the game in the Queen's Gambit Decline Harrwitz Attack. So I think this is a very important video. I think this is something that you should be really familiar with, because if you're not reacting correctly, then you get smashed in an early stage of the game. So that's why this is, as I said, a very important video in our Harrwitz Attack series. So let's check out now the game. We have here now the move d4 by Levin Aronian, d5, c4 e6, knight to f3, knight to f6. So please, in order to get a better understanding of this particular video, please also watch my two previous videos because they are very important. They are meaning now also some tactical and strategical ideas of this video. After move knight to f6, we have now the 3 knights variation of the Queen's Gambit Decline with the move knight to c3. We have bishop to e7, and now comes actually the Harrwitz Attack move, which is the move, of course, bishop to f4. And okay, here in the continuation, black will many times simply castle, securing the king by castle. We have now the normal move e3, developing the light square bishop, also waiting black maybe to take, d takes c4, then bishop to c4 is of course a very important move. So here in the continuation, you can face now this move. This move is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to play against the Harrwitz Attack with the move c5. Now my recommendation, as I mentioned also before in the two past videos, we have now the opportunity to take d takes c5 because we can notice, I've mentioned, as I said, these ideas in the previous videos. After move d takes c5, we can notice after bishop to c5 that black has played twice with the bishop, bishop to e7, then bishop to c5, and that's why in the next couple of moves we should simply delay our bishop's move. We don't want to play bishop to e2 or bishop to d3 because then black will do the same. As I said, this was explained in our previous videos, but let's repeat it again. After d takes c4, you see white does the same. Basically, white is losing also the light square bishop, and also there is a different a second, I think, problem, I think, in the continuation of the game, because the queens could get off the board. So that's why when the queens are off the board, the game gets more and more simplified. So that's why, in my opinion, this is not the best of ways how you should proceed here from white's perspective. So that's why this next move is very important. Queen to c2 now delays our bishop move. We're waiting again black to take, d takes c4, then we will recapture with the bishop, and we're getting all of this d-file mess. So we're not trying here to trade off the queen. So here in the continuation, after move queen to c2, Inarkiev played the very aggressive move knight to c6, which is perfectly fine. We have now rook to d1, also a3 is a possibility to prevent this knight to b4 ideas, and now comes this again aggressive move queen to a5. And okay, we have reached now this position also in our two previous videos. Now my recommendation is simply to play the move a3. We're threatening here the move b4, but after rook to e8, b4 is of course not an opportunity immediately, because you get simply knight takes b4, a takes b4, then bishop to b4, continuing the pressure against the knight on c3. But then even if you try to cover somehow, then you get knight to e4, and the game is basically over here for white. So that's why this b4 is sometimes an opportunity, but not in this particular case. Of course, b4 is a suicide, so that's why it's sort of a threat, but it's only a threat in a couple of moves when maybe we play with the bishop and secure the king by castling. Then of course b4 would be the tactical possibility. Now it's not, and now comes, I think, the critical moment already in this opening. In the game that we have covered in the second game of the series, we have covered this move by Shakari Mamedjadov against Hikaru Nakamura. Okay, it is a good move. There are, of course, with any move you have advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of this move, bishop to g3, is of course that you're getting your bishop fixed on on the board, the bishop is a little bit out of the range of the attack of the knight. But the problem is always this move, knight to e4, and this was the line in which Hikaru Nakamura beat Shakri Mamedjarov with this great move, knight to e4. Here in the continuation of this game between Aronian and Inarkiev, here Aronian played now the move knight to d2. He prevents, of course, this move knight to e4, but this is again, of course, as we said, there are advantages and disadvantages. Of course, the advantage is that black cannot use now anymore the e4 square, but the disadvantage is that we have stayed a little bit more longer with the king in the center, and we have taken also natural squares for pieces. So the knight on d2 is a little bit passive now. Of course, the knight will come to b3, but the position around the king gets more and more, I don't know, simply crowded. I think you see now, we can notice with the move knight to d2, white king doesn't have any more breathing spaces. So you see there's only one square maybe with the king to escape. So now black will use this moment and will try to attack simply white king in the center. So that's why here you see now this move many times, e5, simply attacking here the bishop. We have bishop to g5. Now the serious threat here from black perspective is, of course, this move, bishop to f6, and then simply to take out the pawn here on d5. So here in the continuation we have now this move, knight to d4. This is something that you should not be worried about immediately. You may get threatened by this move and you may get scared by this move, but now it's time to slow down the pace of the game. It's time now to regroup. It's time now really to be focused, because now black is trying really some great tactical traps, and you should be really familiar with these ideas, what black is trying to do. So what you should not do is, of course, take e takes d4 is a suicide, because after e takes d4 the e file gets open. That's what we have talked about. As we said, the knight on d2 took maybe the escape route here for the king, so that's why after move e takes d4 you can maybe try here knight to e2, or you can maybe try here bishop to e2. If you play bishop to e2, then of course simply d takes c3 happens, and I think black is here much better. So that's why the only way maybe to make something out of this is to play knight to e2, but then again you're facing this move knight to g4 with ideas to play the move d3 and then bishop to f2, because you can maybe try here c takes d5. This is not good because you get this one, as we said, d3, then you take, and then you get bishop to f2, so checkmate. So you can maybe try here to play bishop to h4. That would be an opportunity to maybe cover here the f2 square, but again black can play here the move d3, and then again if you take here we can play here simply knight to e5, attacking further the queen. The queen has to move, and then we can even try some opportunities with d takes c4, then of course with c3, knight to d3 is a possibility. So still you see how messed up this position by white is. White is simply tactical loss. Knight to d3 is basically unpreventable. So really wild stuff. You see that's something that you should not do. So as we said, after move here knight to d4, we should not take out the knight here with e takes d4. It's time now to escape with the queen to b1. And now black is again playing aggressive move, plays bishop to f5. This line, as I said, is very popular. It's very often played line at top grandmaster level. Bishop to f5. Now you have to play bishop to d3, bishop to d3, and now queen to d3. Now comes again a new aggressive move, knight to e4. You see black is using this moments. Black is using your king in the center position just in order to attack the position further. You see the bishop is hanging. Now you have basically two choices. You can play either this move, knight to e4, then after d takes e4 you can play queen to e4. We'll analyze also this line. In the game played by Aronian against Inarkiev, Aronian took simply the pawn on d5, because he of course left his bishop hanging on g5, but now comes the tricky move. We have now the opportunity to play the move b4, and you see now two pieces are hanging. In the continuation of the game you have to escape with the queen, and now here Aronian simply takes b takes c5. So now black plays a very aggressive move again, rook to d8, and you see, although white is slightly faster when it comes to knight activity. White has here a great centralized knight. White is also threatening to take out the knight on d4. So far it's not possible to take out the knight because the rooks are very dangerous here. So still you haven't secured the king by castle. As we move rook to d8, here knight to b4 played by Aronian, which is a very important move. But again Inarkiev plays the correct move, queen to a4. In the continuation we have queen to b1, and now a5, simply attacking the knight. We have again a knight to d5. knight to c2, the check, and now king to e2. And it seemed so maybe that something went wrong here for 11 Aronian, because the king is in the center, but actually it's already 1.5 evaluation here for white. White is perfectly fine here, believe me. So that's, I think, sort of line that you should be familiar, because there are again new opportunities for black to attack the position. We have now this move, knight to e4, we have knight takes e4, and here queen to c4 played by Inarkiev. Very tricky moves, you see. Black is not allowing here a white king to escape, but again 11 Aronian played the correct move, king to f3. We have now rook to d5, we have g4 here by 11 Aronian. He's preventing the move f5, and still you see this knight is hanging a little bit. We can also use in a couple more moves pin here, play simply rook to c1, and then the knight cannot escape. So that's why here in the continuation of the game Inarkiev played the move f5. We have g takes f5, rook to f8. You see, very messed up position here already, but now queen to b7. Here 11 Aronian found a great way how to escape from this mess. Even if it takes something like rook to f5, that was actually the line in the continuation of the game. We have king to g3, we have now rook to d1, rook takes d1, and here knight to d4 played by Inarkiev. He realized that his knight is out of game and that he has to bring the knight somehow into the defense, but so far it's not possible. Even if you play something like rook to f7 here, nothing wrong with that move, because you get still this move rook to d8. You have to cover with rook to f8, rook takes f8, king to f8, and now you can face here check. If you're going of course on a light square, then you get knight to d6 to 4, so it would be game over. So in the game let's remove rook to d1. As we said, rook to d1 here, knight to d4 played by Inarkiev, and but 11 Aronian simply takes, e takes d4. We have again this idea rook to f7. We have queen to b1 here. 11 Aronian regroups, plays now the move queen to b1, and now rook to f4. We have f3 fixing the knight here on e4. We have queen to e6, knight to g5, queen to h6, and now after a move rook to queen to b8. In this position Inarkiev resigned, because you can maybe try here the move rook to f8, but then you get queen to b3, and it's of course a beautiful checkmate, because you can only play king to h8, but then you get this smother mate, because even if you try rook to f7, then we can simply take queen to b8 here, and you cannot cover anymore. If you try something else, if you try again king to g8, then you get this beautiful checkmate with the knight on f7. So as we said, there were several tactical traps that Inarkiev prepared here, but I think 11 Aronian get out of the mess with a great game here, escaping with the king to g3. It seems in the beginning that something went wrong, but please analyze the game. The game will be in the description below, the PGN. Please analyze this game, because with the king on e2, we have seen in the middle game 11 Aronian stayed with the king in the center, got challenged by Inarkiev in a couple moves, but finally found a great way to regroup. As I said, this is not easy to face. When you face these ideas for the first time, you may get scared by black's ideas, by black's play, and you get maybe destroyed because you're not reacting correctly. But you see, with some active plays by the queen, by regrouping the knight, with counter plays, 11 Aronian found great ways how to win the game. So I think this is a very instructive game played by 11 Aronian. This will be added of course into our Queen's Gambit the Client Harrwitz Attack series, because you face many times, as I said, these opportunities, you face many times this line. So it's time now to study also some other opportunities here for black. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting stuff here played by the top grandmaster 11 Aronian. If you want to study the Harrwitz Attack more, please check out my two previous analyzed games with the great gameplay by Sergei Karakin, and also with a great gameplay by Hikaru Nakamura. And if you have trouble maybe to play as black, check out my hyper accelerated Dragon Sicilian defense series as good response to e4, and my Nimzo Indian defense series as a good response to d4, if you want to have a decent repertoire in chess while playing as black. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and see you soon with some more videos. Chess is the best, of course.